When people are talking of angels within that context, what they're really talking about is their higher self, not a separate entity at all, but just part of their own soul. It's just we have become so physical that we are detached, almost detached from our higher selves. And so when we communicate with something that is non-physical, we assume that it is a separate entity, whereas very often it is just purely and simply the higher self. So as far as most people's concept of what an angel is, as I say, within the last 20 years or whatever it is, they're actually talking to their higher self, not to a separate entity at all. And so if your angel finds you a parking space, it isn't. It's your higher self that's found you the parking space, not somebody else.
Okay. I'm just going to ask you one more question to tie up the interview. The idea that you've said about integrating the soul into the human body, is that in any way similar to what people would say enlightenment, or more recently coherence? I don't know if you've come across that term before.
I haven't come across coherence in this context before, I have to say. Enlightenment, yes, to a point. What enlightenment means in its traditional sense is that basically you have connected with your higher self, and therefore you can access all of the knowledge and information that is contained within the higher self, or the higher self holds, which is vast. You know, it's the equivalent of the Akashic, essentially. So everybody's higher self has all the answers that they could ever possibly want. And that really is enlightenment. So what the Buddha went through, Lao Tse, all the religious leaders, when they reach a state of enlightenment, then basically it's, yes, they have connected with their higher selves. They've brought more of the higher self into the body, and therefore they can access the knowledge and information that is contained within it. And really, this is what we are undergoing at the moment. And the process is set to accelerate. There are something like 3.9 million people on the planet who have already completed this reintegration process, or within the context of what you were talking about, then they have reached enlightenment. 3.9 million people have already done that. Now, you won't see these people anywhere because they put psychic barriers up around them. If they're in the Western world, or most of the vast majority are living in sort of isolated tribal cultures. Because, let's face it, if you're emanating the kind of energy patterns and auras that these people emanate, then they're going to get turned into a new religion, and that just makes life confusing. So they hide themselves away until everybody else has caught up. So it is possible. It's not a huge problem. All it requires is for people to do a little bit of work on themselves. In other words, it's clearing out emotional rubbish that we all accumulate. If you can get that out of the way, it allows room for the higher self to come in. And that's all that we need to do, is clear out the past to bring in the new and to bring in the higher self. With that, we all reach this state of enlightenment, of state of reintegrating the soul back into the physical body.
Right. Well, I'm going to put an end to that now. Thank you very much, Chris, for all the information. It's been fascinating talking to you, and wish you well for the future. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.